Okay, imagine this. You wake up and the sunrise isn't, that sharp, bright orange. It's more like a blurred glow, hazy, like looking through a constant veil. Or maybe it's this feeling, this sort of unseen weight in the air you're breathing, something that's just silently kind of diminishing your future. Stealing years, it's a heavy thought, isn't it? Something invisible, but so, so impactful. So today we're doing a deep dive into something really urgent, really vital. It's affecting hundreds of millions right now, this air pollution crisis in India. We want to unpack what this actually means for people's everyday lives, look at the science, and crucially, is there hope? What are the potential solutions? Because we've got this figure from the 2025 Air Quality Life Index report, the AQLI, and it's stark. Air pollution is cutting the average Indian's life expectancy by 3.5 years. That's not just a statistic, right? That's huge. It's down to these fine particles, PM 2.5. So 3.5 years, that's countless moments lost. Can you help us understand, how does PM 2.5 actually do that? How does it steal that time?
Yeah, it's quite something how these microscopic things can have such huge, such devastating effects. PM 2.5, these are incredibly tiny particles. We're talking smaller than 2.5 micrometers.
Sure.
To give you an idea, that's about 30 times smaller than the width of a single human hair.
Wow, 30 times smaller.
Exactly. And their size is what makes them so dangerous, so insidious. They just bypass our body's normal defenses. They get deep, deep into the lungs. And here's the really critical part. They can actually cross over into the bloodstream.
Into the blood itself.
That's right, which means they can potentially affect almost every organ in the body. That's why the health impacts are so widespread and so severe.
And where are they even coming from, these invisible threats? What are the main culprits?
It's a real mix, actually. A kind of cocktail
Right.
reflecting India's rapid development. You've got, well, huge emissions from all the vehicles on the roads. That number is just exploding. Then there's industry, factories, and construction, just the dust from constant building. And especially in farming areas, the burning of crop residue. Clearing fields after harvest.
Right, the stubble burning we hear about.
Precisely. All these things release these fine particles, creating this hazardous air.
So, okay, they get into our bodies, into our blood. What are the long-term health impacts we're talking about? Beyond just, coughing or feeling unwell, is there something surprising there?
Oh, absolutely. Beyond the immediate stuff, the long-term consequences are, well, they're devastating. We see much higher risks of chronic things like asthma, serious heart disease, different kinds of lung cancer, even strokes.
There's strokes, too.
Yes. And something maybe less obvious is the systemic inflammation these particles cause throughout the body. It just triggers this cascade of health problems. And perhaps surprisingly, there's growing evidence linking it to cognitive function.
Cognitive, like thinking.
Exactly, especially in kids and older adults. Studies are starting to connect chronic exposure to developmental delays in children and faster cognitive decline in the elderly.
It's just the scale of it. And the numbers that define this crisis are really quite alarming.
They really are.
Yeah.
So in 2023, India's average PM 2.5 level was 41 micrograms per cubic meter.
41.
41.
Yeah.
Now, compare that to the World Health Organization, the WHO. Their guideline is just 5 micrograms per cubic meter.
5. So it's, 8 times higher?
More than 8 times the WHO recommendation. And even India's own national standard is 40 micrograms per cubic meter, which is already high. But get this, almost half the country's population, over 600 million people, live in areas that exceed even that limit.
600 million people.
It's not just a city problem, you see, it's a national health emergency. But the flip side is the potential gain. If levels came down to meet the WHO guideline, that 3.5 years could potentially be added back to the average Indian life.
That potential is massive, and it gets even more stark, even more personal when we look at specific places, like Delhi, tragically known as the world's most polluted city.
Yes, Delhi is really the epicenter. In 2023, its annual average PM 2.5 hit 88.4 micrograms per cubic meter.
88.4. That's almost hard to grasp.
It really is. And for the 20 million people living there, that translates to losing a staggering 8.2 years of life expectancy compared to the WHO standard.
8.2 years.
8 years just gone, poof,
Yeah.
because of the air. And even if Delhi managed to beat India's national standard, which is, remember, 40.
Still 8 times the
Hey.
WHO limit.
Exactly. Even then, Delhi residents would still lose 4.7 years of life. And around Delhi, in the national capital region, cities like Gurgaon, Faridabad, it could be even worse. We see losses of 10, even 11 years in some spots.
10 or 11 years. It just shows how concentrated the problem is in these big urban areas. But it's not just Delhi and its surroundings, is it? This spreads across the whole Northern Plains region.
Absolutely. That whole vast area, the Northern Plains,
Mm.
it's home to 544 million people,
Wow.
almost 39% of India's entire population. So
Right.
it's incredibly densely populated and critically affected. States like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana,
Yeah.
they're facing life expectancy reductions around 5 to 5.4 years.
5 years.
And if you drill down into specific cities there, Lucknow, Kanpur, they're looking at losses of 9.7 years each. Patna, 8.7 years.
Nearly a decade.
If pollution stays at these levels. So yes, this region is a major focus, but the ripples, they really do spread across the whole country.
That's so important to stress. It's not just a North India issue. The burden is felt nationwide, even states further south or west.
That's right. Take Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra. They're also dealing with severe pollution. Bringing PM 2.5 down to WHO levels there could add 3.3 years in Rajasthan, 3.1 in Madhya Pradesh, 2.8 in Maharashtra, significant gains.
So it's everywhere.
Pretty much. Even in the places with the cleanest air in India, like the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, even there meeting WHO guidelines could add about a year to life expectancy. So really, nobody is untouched. It's a public health challenge for every single person.
And it really hits home when you think about how it affects the most vulnerable. You mentioned this double threat for rural women. That really stood out. Can you talk more about that? How does it tie into bigger issues?
Yes. The situation for many rural women is a stark example of, well, environmental injustice. It's not just the outdoor air pollution that everyone breathes. Many women, especially in poorer households without clean cooking options, are exposed to incredibly high levels of indoor pollution.
From cooking fodders.
Exactly, from
Yeah.
burning solid fuels like wood or dung cakes, often in poorly ventilated spaces, for hours every single day. So they get this intense, close-range exposure on top of the general outdoor pollution. It compounds the health risks enormously.
And that connects to.
It connects directly to energy poverty, lack of access to clean fuels like LPG, and also to gender inequality, because cooking is predominantly seen as women's work. So their daily essential tasks end up literally eroding their health and shortening their lives. It shows you need solutions that tackle the environment and social equity together.
This crisis feels so overwhelming now, but it didn't just appear overnight, did it? There's a history here.
Absolutely not. If you look back over the last couple decades, PM 2.5 levels in India have surged. We're talking about a 61.4% increase.
60%? Wow.
It's a direct result of rapid industrialization, a huge boom in the number of vehicles, like 4 times as many, and just a heavy reliance on fossil fuels to power all that growth. And what's interesting, or worrying, is how the geography has shifted. It used to be mainly the Indo-Gangetic Plains, that northern belt, but now, states like Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh have seen pollution rise so sharply that people there are losing an extra 2.5 to 2.9 years of life compared to the early 2000s.
So the problem is spreading.
It's definitely become a more widespread national crisis.
Okay, but amidst all this bleak news, there have been some positive signs, some action taken. I remember reading about a dip in pollution in 2022.
Yes, 2022 was interesting. India saw a pretty significant drop in PM 2.5 levels, about 19.3% compared to 2021.
That's quite a drop. Is that policy?
Mostly, it seems, due to favorable weather patterns, fewer occasions where weather trapped pollution near the ground. But even that temporary improvement, just for 1 year, was estimated to add about 51 days to the average life expectancy.
51 days, just from better weather for a year.
It shows how sensitive life expectancy is to air quality, even short-term changes.
And beyond weather, there have been policy efforts. The National Clean Air Program, NCAP, launched in 2019, targeting those 131 cities with the worst air, initially aiming for a 20-30% reduction by 2024. Then they revised it, right?
Yeah.
Made it more ambitious.
That's right. In 2022, they upped the target to a 40% reduction by 2026, using 2017 levels as the baseline.
So is it working? What are we seeing from NCAP on the ground, and what lessons can we learn?
Well, we are seeing some progress.
Yeah.
As of 2023, the districts included in NCAPP saw, on average, a 10.7% drop in PM 2.5 compared to 2017.
Okay, 10.7%, that's something.
It is. And that reduction is estimated to have added about 6 months to the life expectancy for the 445 million people living in those areas.
6 months is significant.
And if that revised 40% target is actually met by 2026, people in those cities could gain 2 years of life expectancy. That would boost the national average by nearly 8 months. Plus, you have other programs like the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, getting cleaner cooking fuel, LPG to millions. That helps cut down emissions from homes.
Right. But you mentioned lessons learned.
Yes, the crucial lesson came in 2023. Because after that dip in 2022,
It went back up.
PM 2.5 levels rebounded significantly, wiping out some of the previous year's gains.
Ah.
And that really hammers home a critical point. You can't rely on good weather. It raises the question, how do we make sure improvements are real, sustained policy wins, not just, lucky breaks from the weather or short-term fixes?
That's such a key distinction. So, if you're a policymaker looking at this data, how do you separate the signal from the noise? What tells you you're on a path to lasting change, not just riding a temporary wave?
That's exactly the challenge.
Yeah.
The 2023 rebound is a wake-up call, isn't it?
Mm.
Sustainable progress isn't just about launching a program and ticking a box or hoping for rain to clear the air. It demands consistent political will. It demands systemic changes that can override those temporary ups and downs.
Like what specifically?
Well, policymakers need to track consistent year-on-year emission reductions from the big sectors industry, transport, power generation, agriculture. Not just the final air quality number, which bounces around. Look at the rate of transition to clean energy. Look at how strictly emission standards are actually enforced. Look at the adoption of clean tech. Those are better indicators of real progress. And investing in better monitoring, knowing exactly where the pollution is coming from, not just how much is in the air, generally that's crucial too.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked stats, policy, but let's bring it back to the human level. What does all this actually mean for people, for families, for the individuals living through this? It's really about the human cost, isn't it?
It absolutely is. PM 2.5 isn't just a pollutant on a chart. It's a thief. It's actively stealing years of life, years people could have spent with family, watching kids grow up, pursuing dreams, just living. The AQLI report puts it in stark comparison. Air pollution cuts lives short 1.3 times more than childhood and maternal malnutrition combined.
More than malnutrition.
Yes. And get this, it shortens lives more than twice as much as using tobacco.
Twice as much as smoking.
That's what the data suggests for the average impact across the population. And in South Asia specifically, it's actually a bigger killer than cardiovascular diseases, which themselves cut life expectancy by about 4.5 years.
That's incredibly sobering. Can we paint a picture, like specific examples?
Sure. Think about a child growing up in Delhi. Every winter, thick smog, breathing that air year after year. By the time they're an adult, they might already have chronic respiratory problems, a weakened heart, other issues directly linked to that exposure. Their whole life trajectory potentially shortened.
Right from childhood.
Or think about those rural women we talked about cooking over open fires. Every meal they prepare is chipping away at their own health, cutting their lifespan short, often without them even realizing the full extent of the danger. And the elderly, right, they're already more vulnerable. This pollution just makes existing conditions like asthma or heart problems much, much worse. It really affects every single stage of life.
It feels overwhelming, but you said earlier, it's not hopeless. India has the knowledge, the tools, it comes down to will, to action. One key point seems to be updating India's own air quality standards. They haven't changed since 2009.
That's right. And that national limit of 40 micrograms per cubic meter for PM 2.5, it's 8 times higher than the WHO guideline. So even meeting the national standard means accepting air quality that significantly shortens lives. Aligning closer to WHO standards could literally save billions of life years collectively across India. It's a huge potential win.
Yeah.
And we can look internationally for examples, right? What tangible steps can be taken, learning from others but adapting to India's context? China is often cited. Since 2013, they've made huge cuts to their particulate pollution, about 29%.
How do they manage that?
Through really stringent policies, tight controls on emissions from industry, from vehicles, a very top-down, forceful approach.
But China's system is very different from India's, isn't it? A more centralized government versus India's federal structure, the sheer diversity. Can India just copy-paste China's model? Would that even work?
That's a really important point. You can't just copy-paste. China's model shows rapid change is possible with strong central control. But India's strength is its democracy, its federalism. Implementation requires much more coordination between the center and states, building public consensus, addressing incredible diversity.
So more complex to implement.
Potentially, yes. Challenges include ensuring consistent enforcement everywhere, balancing development needs with environmental protection, finding the funding. India's path probably needs a mix, strong national guidelines, yes, but also empowering states, fostering local innovation, getting communities involved. It needs to be an Indian solution.
So, given those complexities, what are the key actions India could focus on?
Well, certainly enforcing tougher, updated standards is number one. Then massive investment in clean energy, solar, wind, really expanding programs like Ujwala, making sure every home has clean cooking fuel, not just some. That's huge for indoor pollution and women's health.
Yeah, and in the cities.
Better urban planning is critical. Managing construction dust, seriously upgrading public transport to get people out of private vehicles, and finding real, sustainable solutions to stop crop burning in Punjab, Haryana, and other states. That needs coordinated action.
What about awareness? Do people fully grasp the danger?
That's another key piece. Public awareness, especially maybe in rural areas, about the direct health links. Education campaigns are needed. Plus, making real-time air quality data easily available and understandable. That empowers people. And technology, of course. Cheaper air purifiers, cleaner industrial processes. Tech has a role to play too. It needs a multi-pronged approach.
It really feels like tackling clean air isn't just environmental policy. It's about life itself, isn't it? About potential, about dignity. The prize for success is enormous. Meeting WHO guidelines. 3.5 years longer life on average. In Delhi, it's 8.2 years. For those 544 million in the northern plains, 5 extra years. And those aren't just numbers. That's real time. That's weddings you get to attend, grandchildren you get to know, dreams you have time to chase, more time with the people you love. So we really hope this conversation encourages you, our listeners, to think about your role. Maybe it's advocating for change, supporting clean energy, or just learning more and talking about it. And here's a final thought to leave you with. Beyond the years of life lost, what are the other hidden costs we're paying right now by delaying decisive action on air quality? Think about healthcare costs, lost productivity, and what truly revolutionary changes might we unlock in health, in the economy, and just our daily well-being if everyone in India could finally, genuinely breathe easy.